gotta try to do this as quick as I can in under a minute so I can send the video.
Oh, horrible breezes. Please, can you get off now? Please, can you stop? In Jesus' name, please get off my earring.
That is not a ghost. This is what they call a demon, a very small one. Okay. You can go ahead, pause the video. That is the all-seeing eye at the Vatican Church. You have all been hoodwinked by Luciferianists who worship the all-seeing eye of Sauron, the all-seeing eye of Satan. The reason why Jesus' name didn't work is because nobody knows the name of God, and everybody, they can't defend themselves when they don't know what to say. This is one of them trapped inside of a bottle. People think that they are ghosts and spirits. They are not. There is a lady in the video who's trying to show these things have a mind of their own. You can actually pick them up on your camera with the focusing. Like, it actually focuses on something in that bottle, just like it would focus on a face. These things are smart. No, she just said a genie. You ever hear of the genie in the bottle? They're smart. And it's free. Now it's free. It's the best. This is the only way that I can explain. Welcome to an episode of Freaky Friday. I decided this time I was gonna tell you guys some true stories that I've encountered in my life. Before we begin, I want you to know that I'm going to speak true and from my heart. I'm going to try to follow the law of love. And as we dive down this rabbit hole together, I hope you're having a good Friday wherever you are. It is rainy and it is gloomy. I decided to put you guys in the window and just talk to you while I relax. A world of chaos. It's hard to find. Some of the things you've seen before this episode got started might make you think a little bit. So put your cow boots on. Let's wade through this BS together. So I did a few recordings last night at exactly 3 o'clock. And I ended up, I don't know a lot about this stuff, and I'm pretty new to all this, so none of that worked, so I'm going to have to record the whole session. It's really hard to talk to you guys or get time for you people when I have a kid and I'm dealing with my own stuff, and I understand all of you are dealing with your own stuff right now too. If anybody out there is having the dreams too, feel free to get a hold of me. I'll leave you my email. Last night I spoke on a lot of really awesome things. Today it's like I'm lost for words. I don't know how to begin, but I'll try my best. Some true freaky stuff that happened to me. When I was younger, I had a group of friends anywhere from the age of like 11 to 17. It was like we were the Goodfellas met the Rugrats. And there was about 4 or 5 of them, maybe more, came over to my house. And I've always lived in a real big house. And we got playing wrestle tag in the dark. The flashlights were on for a while, but they ended up going off, and we ended up putting blankets on all the windows and like duct taping them up and just cut off all the light. It got like unnaturally dark. Even the light from the microwave and the light from the stove, it just lit the whole room up when there was no light. It was really, really wild to see and experience. And we ended up just cutting all the light off, and there was this old time chandelier that hung in our where we ate at in the dining room. And my buddy threw a pillow, and it just smashed the chandelier, shattered all over the place, and it just rang, just echoed in the darkness. And I lived in the house, my whole life, and I've had pretty good night vision. So I just sprang for the light. And when we flipped the light on, all of us saw the exact same thing, and we discussed it for quite a long time. But there was like a shadow person, like a shadow man. It looked like he was made of shadows on the wall. And almost like Spider-Man, it went from the wall to the ceiling and crawled into the kitchen. And I've always been a seeker of truth. I think you'll maybe come to understand that as I talk to you a little bit. I'm going to try not to take too much of your time, maybe 30 minutes. I went after it, and when I got in the kitchen, it was simply gone, just like any other ghost story. Horror story, spirit story, demon story. I'll tell you guys them all on Freaky Friday. If you like it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring my bell, and send me a message. I would love to hear from you guys. Tell me what you guys want to hear about. Tell me what you want to talk about. I will speak on it. Another really weird story that happened to me was I got done with some work and had moved to this town. And I had never lived in this town before a day in my life. I didn't even have an ID. And this was back in the day. I'm starting to get pretty old. A lot of things have changed. And I got really bored, and I'd never smoked cigarettes. I got so bored I decided I would try to start smoking cigarettes. It's a terrible idea. I'm not telling anybody to go smoke. I do not condone this at all. And that's what I did. And I ended up smoking pot, which led me to buying some drugs. And I ended up buying this acid, this LSD, for everybody at this party. And I am not proud of this by any sort of means, and I am not telling you to go out and do this. It will open a door that you cannot shut. It is not a door that you walk out willy-nilly. I have struggled my entire life with that particular door, and it's not a door that leads to anywhere. And once you come to the understanding of that, then the words I'm about to tell you might scare you. And so I was sitting on the porch with these guys, and I didn't know any of these people. They were all complete strangers. And I just spent like $800 on acid for everybody, just strangers. And the guy, I remember before he bought it, he was like, yeah, man, he's like, I could get some trip. I just got to make a trip. And I was like, I thought I was going to get robbed personally. And he's like, yeah, you trip? And I was like, I lied to him. I was like, yeah, I trip all the time. This is exactly what I get for lying, man. We ate these triple blotters. I ate one of them, and it wasn't working. It took a couple hours. He's like, man, your eyes are big as saucers. He's like, you're tripping, you don't even know it. And for anybody out there who hears this, who don't know what tripping is, it means like taking hallucinogenic drugs. And he's like, well, big man, eat the other one. So I ate another triple blotter. I think it's about 6 hits of acid. It was not a good idea. I had no idea what I was doing. And literally, I watched the stars fall from the sky. They were like Mario stars. Just tinking. It felt great. It was amazing. It was an amazing feeling. The sky was flashing different colors. The trees were waving. I thought I was in the ocean. Finding Nemo just came out. It was becoming popular. I was like, anemone, anemone. Trees are anemones. I was fried. I was high off my mind, off of a very dangerous substance. And it scared me. I became very aware of it, that things were not right. The world started to turn literally to clay, like I started to go to cartoon land. And I got up. What ended up happening is I'm sitting on this front porch, and the dude just literally stands up. He's like, yup, the acid just kicked in. He's like, you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go. He looks at me, he's like, you were one of the coolest people I've ever met in my life, but you gotta go, I don't know you. And then just everybody left, and this dude I had came there with, like, ran off. and they were gonna go smoke a joint, and I was like, yeah, I'll go with you. And I remember I stood up and I got tunnel vision, and there was a row of trees on my right and a row of houses on the left, and I got tunnel vision. It just looked like two little stick people like dancing away, and I remember I was running and I snapped out of it, and I'd only taken like 4 steps. Then I remember looking at the road and I got very scared for my mortal life. I was very aware that I was in danger, and it scared me, and I was like, oh crap, what do? I don't know anybody. I was completely lost. I had just walked off with these people. I was completely lost. Like, why did I do this? You know? And these questions are running through my mind. And I'm like, okay, so I go over by the cellar. I'm like, all right, I'm out of sight of the police, of the road. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm being safe. I'm scared, right? I don't want to go to jail. I shouldn't have done that. Like, all these thoughts running through my head, right? And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, man, I'm screwed. I don't know how long this is going to last. Did I just permanently damage myself? It's like all these questions were awakened in me. It's like all of a sudden I was concerned for my own self, my own body. Right? I just done that. I just poisoned myself. I was like, what? What did I do? I'm sitting there and all of a sudden this blonde girl comes up to me. Heavenly Hunt, she said her name was. And I was like, and I'm talking high off the rocker. I was like, well, give me your ID. Let me see your ID. And I remember she was 21. Her name was Heavenly Hunt. And she had blonde hair and blue eyes, big boobies. I don't mean any offense to any ladies out there. Just telling a story. She's like, I know you and I have to take you home. And I'm like, how are you going to take me home? You know, I don't even know where I live. She's like, I'm going to take you home. So I was like, all right, take me home. I was like, I figure I'm at least safer with somebody. This is where I'm at in my little monkey mind, you know, my primitive logic. I'm like, this is, you know, where I'm at. So I just walk off with her, and I remember the world literally was turning to clay. I was looking at my fingers, and they were unraveling like those little party things that you put in your mouth and blow on, right? I must have told this lady my entire life story, and I mean literally, I remember looking at a street sign and it looked like Sesame Street sign, no joke. It was really crazy weird, and she took me home, and she sat with me all night long, and I had run out of cigarettes, because like once I started smoking cigarettes, I just wanted to smoke all the cigarettes. And she was literally feeding me these cigarettes from this pack of cigarettes. It's like it didn't run out. She even gave me the pack of cigarettes. She stayed with me all night. I remember laying in the grass and looking up, guys, at the sky. And I remember watching things dance in the sky. Like, it was like men, like ancient warriors just dancing in the sky, you know, in this circle. And I watched a whole, game of cards get played out in the sky. And it's like I thought I saw music. And, it's like I knew the meaning of life, but I couldn't tell you guys. I could never tell you the multiplication factor. I could never tell you, but I felt it. And it was really a very spiritual experience. I'm not going to lie to you. And it was very dangerous and stupid. And I don't know why I did that. And that lady stayed with me all night. And then she gave me the pack of cigarettes and she walked off. And I decided to go in and I went to bed. A couple weeks later, I was like, oh, I need groceries. And so I went down. The where I was at was very convenient, very smart location. There was a store right down the road. I walked down there and got some groceries, and I ran into the guy that sold me the drugs. And he had his mom with him. And I remember she had this big jar of pickles, like those big kosher dills, and those Moby dills. And he was like, oh man, it's you. He's like, I almost didn't know if you were real or not, you know, very surprised to see me. He's like, I thought you tripped yourself into jail. And I was like, no, I'm real, I'm all right. And I was like, Heavenly Hunt walked me home. And I was like, where she's at? I'd like to give my thanks, my condolence. And he was like, he went gray and got this real surprised look on his face. And his mom dropped this jar of pickles, literally went everywhere. And I was like, whoa, He was like, dude, how'd you know that name? And I was like, well, this blonde girl with blonde hair, blue eyes, big boobies walked me home. Her name was Heavenly Hunt. And he's like, that can't be. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, she got hit by a car when she was 16 outside of my house. And she's dead. And I was like, no way. No way. And he's like, yeah. And it scared him. Like, they were like, how did you know? And I was like, I don't know, man. I walked home really baffled that day. And Like, I never talked to, well, I spent some time with that man. That man was a very troubled guy. The guy that sold me the drugs, but, he ended up becoming a very good friend of mine. Haven't spoken to him in years. Um, that was one of the true, more freakier stories. So I'll get into a lot of things with you guys. I'll open up. A very dear friend of mine got a hold of me, and I mean, this has been one of my friends that it's like nobody knows they're my friends. It's been one of those people that's like hidden in the shadows, almost like a messenger from something higher. Very dear friend of me asked me about exorcisms and demons. And it's not something that you can just type down, guys. It's not something that you can just talk about so easy and think you're going to get away with it. I've studied this stuff for years. I've encountered this stuff for years. I'm a very open, logical, scientific-minded person. I enjoy a debate of anything. Most people nowadays don't even like to talk, much less have any kind of opinion. But I had taken some footage and showed a little bit of that today. It's really difficult to understand or even accept. And there's stories all over the place. You got to understand. Most people have gotten to the point where they're like, oh, well, don't believe what's on the internet. Well, you have the gift of intuition. You can come with me through the BS and open your mind a little bit and just put down all the tools you've been given and just use the tools that you already had. They really are little invisible creatures. They really do exist. It's no joke. They do manifest. There are different sizes if you want to think of it. Just think about small, medium, large, larger. I have seen them throw my friends across rooms. I've personally been grabbed and touched by them. You have to remember that a lot of what's going to be any kind of normal teaching might not be correct. And you can take my word for it. People are like, oh, I don't believe them. I've seen ghosts. Well, have you? Have you really sat and done any kind of research on it? Said what they've said over the years about ghosts or undeath? You know, I always love, one of my favorite characters said the saying, and maybe you guys might know him. He said, well, if there was a crew, if there was a ship and it was crewed by the damned and had black sails and sailed faster than the wind, and nobody lived to talk about it, well, then where do the stories come from, I wonder? So in this series, we'll ask ourselves where the stories came from. Another really weird experience that happened to me was when I was younger. I was down in this basement, and I had gotten this bag of weed. And I went down with these people. We were going to smoke a joint. And I was on this little desk, and there was this dresser next to me. It had these metal hangers. And I was rolling up this joint, and I remember there was kind of this cold wind. And you hear a lot about that cold wind in a lot of different stories. And it just kind of blew. Everyone there said they felt it. And right literally next to my head, the metal hangers just went bang and bammed and went everywhere. And I was lucky enough to be able to scoop up my pot and save my paper and my joint. And everyone, by the time I turned around, was already up the stairs. And as I went up those stairs, I felt it on my tail. I mean, I felt it. Whatever it was, I'm not going to say that it was anything at all. If you guys would like my opinion on what that was, I've still been trying to figure that one out. I think that's something a lot of people have encountered. I don't think it was just a ghost or an angry spirit. It was seemed much more powerful than that. And it was funny, everybody ran out of the house too. And it was like, well, where are we gonna, because you're just looking for a safe place to smoke a joint, you know? If you think about it, it's another way to get you, drive you into hiding into places that, where things lurk, that they could get you. I'll talk about cryptids and hominoids if you guys want, and I'll talk to you about Bigfoot. I'll talk to you about the stories I've heard. You know, I was just younger, and I was dating this really pretty girl. She was Italian and Greek. Very mouthy, very, very demanding. I liked it. I liked the feisty ones. And her uncle one time was like, "Hey, boy," he was like this hunter, and he was like, we got kind of talking, and he's like, "You believe in Bigfoot?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know, you know, I don't really know." And the internet was just kind of becoming popular, and I had heard some stories and stuff, and uh, you know, they say that they're called different names and there's different types. And if you guys knew that, they call them like Admu in another country, and Lawanawat in some type of Indian language. And you got to remember there's a lot of language, a lot of things are divided. And he was like, yeah, he's like, I was out hunting, I smelled this smell. A lot of people say they smell the smell. He's like, and I heard it. He goes, it scared me so bad. It was like a primal instinct, man. He said it scared him. And I was like, why did this guy just tell me out of the blue? A lot of people are like, well, that guy must have been crazy. And he swore, he's like, I'm telling you, I'm not crazy. He's like, I have seen those things. And I believe the man. He was just very sincere in what he was saying. I took him with a real grain of salt. Took him with a real pinch of sugar. And just, a little bit of trust. A lot of people have different gifts and abilities. One of my buddies, he's a psychic medium. And, it's knowing him and growing up with him, it's not like glorified like it is on movies. It's actually quite a horrific experience. He's hurt me. I've accidentally hurt him, trying to like restrain him when bad things have jumped in him. And his whole mission and creed in life was to just give the spirits a drink. It's like he just lets them flow. And he gives them just a little bit of solace, man. And, when you hear that guy talk about the afterlife and what's in between and what might become, it gets a little scary, And it's actually, to me, it was always been pretty cool because he would just trance out, he could get you drinking and just all of a sudden, boom, his voice would change, his eyes would change colors. It was like enough proof for me that I just kept looking. I just kept looking, guys, girls. I just kept looking. And you got to remember that what they say that when you look into the abyss, it will look back at you. And the fear of blood tends to manifest fear of the flesh. So don't be afraid of the dark. Be afraid of what's in the dark. You hear about a creature called the rake. I'll point you guys in the right directions if you want to start looking, because it's probably pretty soon they're going to start hiding a lot of things, and who really knows? But I think there's proof, and I'll accept your guys' videos if I guess I'll make a stand and with all of you for some truth. A lot of people ask yourself, what is the truth? Well, maybe a truth isn't a testimony, or a truth isn't a word. I have a cousin. I could bring him on if you guys would like. Leave me comments, and if you would like to hear his testimonies of when the things that I showed you jumped inside of me, and they can jump inside of you. I literally levitated. I floated. About 12, 13 feet across the room, maybe 6 feet in the air. It's been a weird one. It's been a weird ride for me, and I guess I'll just kind of tell you guys the stories as they come to me. Just let them flow like a river. Don't crash into the rocks. Just flow around them. I've struggled with things in my life too. Struggled with a lot of anger and a lot of depression. A lot of people try to make it real proper when they're talking in a podcast, or you don't really want to easily offend someone, and it's like a human emotions being taken away from us. A right to even be angry or to feel. Seems like that a lot of wherever I go in life. and have been for quite a while. I can't give you the key. I can't open the lock for you. I can just try to direct you to some truth. So you saw that bottle in the beginning, a little genie in the bottle. You should think about things that are forbidden and unknown, things you shouldn't really want to learn about or accept, because then you start realizing that a lot of things in reality are forbidden. And genies, jinns, as they call them, demons, they're almost the same thing, guys. Almost. You can put categories and labels on it all you want. It all comes down to the same thing. Really. Lost my train of thought, but it's alright. They're real. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'll tell you a story when I was younger. It happened back in the 90s. And it was my buddy's older now. He told me this story. He said he was about 11 years old. And he was his dad owned a bar. He was sitting at the bar drinking chocolate milk, and his dad was bartending, and there were some other friends there, and he said that this guy walked in, and they lived in a really small town, and they said he was really dirty, right? Really dirty, and had long fingernails, was dressed in jeans, in a jean jacket, and came in, and he said that his eyes were wild, is what he said. He goes, he almost remembered that they were almost like piercing gold looking, and very deep. And he said, heck, man, he was an older guy by then. He's like, I don't know, I might have changed colors. I was a young kid. And he said he was tapping his fingernails on the bar, and I guess he literally sniffed the air and was like, oh, stupid witch, and got up and just walked out of the bar. And my buddy was a truth seeker like me. He ran after the guy, and he said that he turned the corner and the guy literally just disappeared, was gone. But it was funny that he found out later on it always scared the two brothers that were in that bar, his uncles, or his dad, whoever owned the bar. He said it scared him because I guess his brother had been practicing witchcraft. And I tell you guys, be very careful what you practice and what you do. And do not think for anything for a second that an eye is not watching you. And you look around and you'll see it. It's there. It's in your storybooks, and it's the same story that's been repeating and happening over and over and over and over and over. Again and again and again. You just won't accept it. Well, my time is growing short. I hope you all enjoyed this little episode of Freaky Friday. Tell me what you think. Leave me a comment. You guys want me to talk more on things, I will. I'm going to let you all seek the truth for yourself. I'll give you a little proof in the pudding here and there. And to my friend out there who I know is listening, I'm going to help you with the answers you seek. And I'm going to try to make it as clean as day. Remember, all of you, don't see with your eyes. Don't hear with your ears. Feel with your heart. This has been an episode of Freaky Friday. Say all your prayers, boys and girls.